is because I brought along with me about 20 pounds of sunchoke tubers for anybody who likes to plant for their bees. It's one of my favorite plants. It grows about 10, 15 feet tall. I started with one small piece, like this right here. This little piece about 2 years ago. And now I'm up at a couple 100 pounds, so I'm always trying to give them away. I eat as many as I can. I feed them to my livestock. So anybody who wants some, there's a whole bucket here with little bags to take them home. Okay? And then I have a little giveaway later. But so let me go. Yeah, I'm following Mark Antoon, so that's going to be a tough task here. So I called my presentation How to Acquire Free Bees by Collecting Swarms, obviously. Who here has actually intentionally tried to trap swarms and caught some? All right, yes, okay, so, and how about who goes on swarm calls and everything?
Raise your hand, Joe.
Okay, good. So this will be a bit of a brush up, I guess, for you guys. Hopefully you can take something away. Maybe I might learn something from you guys. Yeah, if you have any suggestions or questions, I'm pretty sure we'll all agree on everything all the time. It's just, I can't see us disagree on anything. But a little bit about me. I have copious notes here in case I forgot anything because I'm a little nervous. But get that right in my a little bit about me. Ever since I was really little, I've always been interested in social insects, ants, wasps, hornets, even termites a little bit. And I really always loved honeybees too, but I never kept them until a little later in life. I read everything I could about honeybees. I kept my hornet nest and everything, but it was about 2008 when I decided I'm just going to stop waiting. I want to try to keep some honeybees. So I went to my library, read everything I could, and I knew pretty much, but the only thing I didn't know was how to get bees. I wasn't really on, there was no Facebook. It wasn't as popular as it is today. YouTube didn't have so many beekeeping videos on it. So the only idea that I had was to get a jar of honey from the grocery store and call the phone number on there and say, where the heck do you get bees at? Like, how do you start? And that's how I got my first bees. I was given a number to call someone in Georgia, which I did. I wrote my check for $150, sent them off, and got my first bees on the way. And then soon after I ordered those bees, someone told me about Googling things. This is like 2009, so Google was around, but I'm not a big Googler. So bees was the first thing I ever Googled, and I kind of accidentally stumbled across swarm trapping. I don't remember which website it was, but I thought, oh man, look at this. I could have trapped some bees. So with what I learned from that, I ordered 5 of the flower pot swarm traps, if anyone's ever seen those. Look like a brown thing, kind of like what I brought today for one of my demonstrations. Bought 5 of those, begged my friends and family to put them out there, and that's what I did. And I didn't have any old comb or anything like that, so all I did was melted some foundation and smeared that in there. I mean, somehow I caught some the day after my package arrived. So that kind of ticked me off a little bit. So my buddy told me, there's all these bees on your cone that's stuck on my phone pole. But it was cool because I had all this experience with bees the day before. I dumped the package right into a box. And I still got those, so that wasn't bad. And then probably a week later or so, I got my first swarm call, which, I mean, I'm so brand new at this stuff, but that was because I gave my number to an exterminator, and I said, hey, if you ever see honeybees, let me know, but I really didn't expect anything to happen, and when I got that call, that was my first ever swarm call. Let me see, sorry about that. So, why should you catch swarms? The very important one to me is that swarms are basically free, aside from the gas money you kind of spend driving around to get them sometimes. I know I drive a lot I'll go pretty far, sometimes farther than many, but sometimes they're even better than free, because a lot of times when you go to capture an easy swarm, people will kind of make you take money for taking them. They're just so fascinated by it. And I will only turn it down one time, and it's going right in. It's also really fun. To me, I mean, I know, even though I've been doing it a little while, every time my phone rings from April 5th to about August, I just get really pumped up, and it's just really fun. Even though I make all kinds of mistakes, I just love doing it.
You can charge people for removing the bees.
Yeah.
So that it can be paid for, so like, it's more than gas, you can set a price and agree on it before you even go there.
Yeah, that some people do make a business of it. I mean, you probably won't do that in your first year. I mean, I generally don't charge to come get a swarm. If I go pretty far, I think they kind of just assume, hey, let me give something about it. I just love doing it so much. I couldn't think of saying, yeah, I'll come get it, but you're gonna owe me $100, or I'm just not gonna do it. It's just not happening. I'm going to get it. So for number 2, I say it's very easy to do. And here's what I mean by that. My first few years of keeping bees, I really didn't go after swarms a lot. I just kind of put out 1 or 2 traps. I was on no swarm list. I didn't have a website. Facebook wasn't really that heavy then. I only kept a few hives, but in around 2015, I decided I want to get really big time and have like 10 hives. So I went to my first ever beekeeping club meeting, and the subject that day was, where is everyone going to get their bees? And just like, it was just like a broken record. Each person going around the room, where are you getting your bees? I got 2 packages on the way. The next one getting 2 nukes. Next one's getting 2 packages. All the way around the room until they got to me, and I was like, oh man. I said, I'm not buying any bees. And I remember the president at that time, not our new president, but he kind of chuckled along with a few people. I said, he said, how many swarms do you expect to catch? I said, I'd be really happy with 10. And that was just it. I mean, there's no way you're getting 10. But I said 5 would be great, but I could live with 2. And the response was, well, good luck with that, next. And but I almost kind of wanted to order a package after that, because I thought, oh man, I'm gonna make a fool of myself. But I'll tell you later on what I did, next few slides. But I ended up in that first year of just trying harder than I did before. I think 25 swarms that first year. I caught maybe 7 of those in traps, and a couple of them were cutouts too, which I was not ready to do, and I shouldn't have done that. But so yeah, don't do that. I'm not saying cutouts are easy. Always have somebody show you that. I still mess those up. Let's see. 3, yeah. There's almost always more than 3 pounds of bees. I've caught very few swarms that are as small as what's contained in a package. You don't have all the dead bees. You have a queen that comes with those bees, sometimes several queens. But yeah, I had a couple swarms last year that early in the year, they could be 8-10 pounds or even more than that. I don't even want to say. One of them I thought was so heavy, I won't even say the number because it was really heavy. For me, in my opinion, shaking, of course, a swarm up 50 feet in the tree is not easy for anybody. Unless you have a shotgun or something, but for me, shaking a swarm off of a little bush, or sometimes they're even on the ground, or setting a trap and having the bees go into it themselves is less intimidating for a new beekeeper than nukes or packages. It's easier for me than shaking some bees out of a little hole in the middle of a box, or a 5-frame nuke busting at the seams, and you've never been in bees before, and now here it is. For me, that's intimidating still sometimes. So I really don't think that new beekeepers should shy away from trying to catch swarms. Also, as I say, every colony has a memory and a story. For me, I just really love walking around with people and saying, this is that one that I was up on a ladder and, deep in the woods, and it was really great, and I've had them for a certain amount of time. Or this is one, I actually have one that my mom caught while I was at work. She made a video, it was hysterical, but she caught that one, and they're like 3 years old. I mean, every one of my counties has a story. I don't know how I remember it every time I walk up to them, but for me, I mean, if I had to say, you know, I just paid for these and they shipped them and I got them. I mean, a lot of people start that way, even I did. But I really like to be able to tell a little bit of a story with my bees. And then also the possibility of swarms from local overwintered colonies and feral colonies. You know, when you catch a swarm, when you bait one into a hive, or when you go on a call, they're not always going to be, you know, great overwintered bees, but at least there's the chance. They either come from someone's hive, or out of trees. These are. Some will say there's no feral colonies anywhere; they just die every year. I've been following these for a couple years. I get swarms out of them almost every year. No, just one at a time. I mean, they're just kind of for decoration. I set swarm traps there. They're pretty good bees, and they usually spit out pretty heavy swarms. So at least you have the chance for that. When you're getting bees shipped from another, you know, this whole presentation isn't to really to just bash up packages and everything, but to have bees shipped out from somewhere else, from a different location, they'll survive too. But I really like the idea that these bees, especially these, I can't wait to go back there next month to see how they're doing.
Where is that exactly?
And that's two of them. I got a whole bunch of them that they're pretty. You know, me and Mitch knew about one, but that tree fell down, and so now they're all mine. What do we have here? Oh yeah, and also, you know, once you start to make contacts and you find something like this where you can set a bait hive, or you come visit it every few days during swarm season, because the swarm will hang in the tree sometimes for a couple days. If it's close enough to your house and you've got, you know, a little pair of binoculars that you can just look in the right spot, you might still get it before someone else does.
It might be because I clicked up there. There you go.
Okay, why not? Has anyone ever kind of wanted to catch swarms but then said they weren't going to do it and had a reason that isn't up here that I might add later to my next one? No? Okay. In fact, Steve Fink were talking about that. That swarm catching is mostly for advanced beekeepers or beekeepers with experience. And I do hear that a lot. But why do they say this? I don't know why they say this. I think and seasoned beekeepers kind of don't want someone that's new to kind of make a fool of themselves or do something stupid. But for me, I've done a lot of things stupid, and you're gonna be, no matter how much preparation you do, you're still gonna mess up. And you know, is that wrong? You know, no, right? So yeah, I still, to this day, will drop a swarm right on my head or something, or, you know, down my shirt. Or I make a lot of mistakes there. Two. Okay. Yeah. The new beekeepers don't have the equipment necessary, and I can understand that. If you just have, you know, one hive set up with 2 boxes, you don't want to have to order 50 boxes just to go swarm catching. And to that I say, the cool thing about honeybees is they will move into all kinds of things, and I like to try to take advantage of that. So I'll come back to this one. Here's some things that I've caught bees in that I picked up at, like, on the side of the road or at a flea market. I think that box was $1. Lady across the street gets food shipped to her. People have really good success with that. I'm actually trying that this year. This barrel, somebody had a call with some bees in it. I said, yeah, I can take them out. They said, just take the whole barrel. Okay. So I took that and I used that as a swarm trap. So you can use many other things, and I'll also show you how to make a homemade flower pot trap a little bit later. and they're really cheap to make, and you don't have to worry about someone smashing it. Any questions so far? Okay, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, okay, so there's no good reason to miss out on catching swarms, you know, because someone else might say that you can't do it. Experiment with different types of cavities, and yeah, so you won't have to use all your vehicle. Then 3, there's this fear that you will not catch a swarm, and that is true. If you're just setting a couple bait hives in your yard, and you don't catch anything, I can see how that could discourage somebody, and I hear that a lot. But often after talking to them, I find that maybe they didn't set their bait hive right, they put too much lemongrass oil in it, they put a bunch of plastic foundation, they just did all kinds of things wrong and just dismissed swarm catching altogether. But with the 2 techniques I'm going to talk to you about, which is bait hives and then swarm chasing, if you really put some effort into it, I don't see how you can get out of the season without catching at least one. Yeah, just, you know, I don't want to talk about how many I catch, but all I do is follow exactly what I'm going to tell you, and it's not unheard of to get 30 or 40 really easily. Oh, also some people use 5-gallon buckets. I only tried it once. I didn't catch anything with that one, but I've seen videos of people catching it, so just keep that in mind if you want to do the bucket type traps.
Burlap bag.
Hmm?
You use a burlap bag,
Oh yeah, burlap bag. Oh yeah.
rubber box.
Okay, so how? Okay, these are just the two ways. The trapping, which I'll demonstrate probably, I think, on the next slide. And then this is where the bees come to you. You set up a hive or a trap. Even though they're not really trapped, they can leave at any time. They come to you, they install themselves. They're pre-fed, they're ready to draw comb. You know, most of the time they're pre-fed. If they hang there for a while, we'll talk about that later. And they're with a queen that they recognize, or several queens. So that's something you can try to sort out later on with some experience. But with bait hives, I have about a 30% catch rate for how many cavities I put out there. So the more you put out, the more you can expect to capture. You know? So you want to. I try to tell everyone put out at least 10. You know, so that way there's almost no way you're not going to get at least 2 or 3. Last year I put out 25 and I caught 8 this way. And the second way is swarm chasing. This is the way that I actually get most of my bees. I keep about the first 10, 15, or 20 of those, and the rest I either get them established and sell them to people, or give them to people. I used to just give them away all the time, but I'm not doing that anymore. And also, I'll show you about with swarm chasing. If you really do it right, you're gonna have to. Sometimes you get several calls like at one time. So that happens to me a lot. I have to turn down a lot of calls or pass them to friends and trade calls. That's another good thing to do. If you pass someone a swarm call, they might pass one back to you later when you're not at work or doing something. Okay, the things you will need for swarm trapping and bait hunters. Well, here, let me just.
Do you want me to look up stuff?
Yeah, okay. Well, actually, here, I'll just go through this really quick, then we'll dungeon. Yeah, so a suitable cavity is going to be an 8 or 10 frame deep with a lid and a solid bottom. That's ideal. That's the most ideal way to do it with frames, because then there's a little bit less, well, there's a lot less work if a colony moves in and starts building and you don't get there right away. But there's also what I'm going to show you, the fiber pot swarm trap, or anything else. You can follow the same rules with any type of box or something hollow about the size of a deer. You'll need either some not old comb, but some dark brood comb for your Langstroth style traps. Or if you're making just a alternative style trap, you'll need some beeswax so you can melt and coat the inside. As a lure, I use lemongrass oil. And then you just need to find places to put all these things. That's actually the hardest part. When you go to someone, hey, I want to put this in your yard. Well, why? Oh, because I'm trying to get a giant black cloud of bees to move in there. Hopefully you're not home when that happens. But not only places to put them, but a suitable location. There's going to be a lot of debate about whether you should put it up really high, or maybe it's 8 feet, 15 feet. But for me, 90% of the traps that I put out are just on the ground, on a pallet, or on a couple cinder blocks, just in the shade. Whenever I can get them up onto a balcony or something like that, or a rooftop, I'll take that. But most of the time they're on the ground.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Lemongrass, how many drops? That stuff's pretty strong.
Yeah, it is really strong. So yeah, I'll show you that in a minute. What I do is I'll put it on a cotton ball inside of a Ziploc bag, and just a few drops, maybe 5, and just let it kind of dissipate for a while. Okay. All right.
You tell me what to hold up.
Okay. The box. You can open that up. Yeah, I really felt funny bringing a high box to a bee club, but I like to make this a lot more difficult than it really is, but it's very straightforward. What we have going on here is just an 8-frame box. One bait cone right in the middle. It's about this age, nice looking, so if some bees can move in there, they can get started right away on that. And then for the rest of my frames, I just use foundationless frames, that's it. I've tried foundation in a trap before, and they wouldn't touch it. Has anyone caught a swarm in a trap that had a whole bunch of, how many frames of foundation?
Put 2 frames and the rest blank.
And the rest were blank? Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have put
But you put
10
all
plastic
foundation,
ones
they
in.
won't move in, with that only be 2 frames.
Okay, I'll try that. So on top of that is where I will, yeah, so inside of there, I'll just take a little Ziploc, put 4 or 5 drops on there, close it all the way up.